I never believed in fairy tales. Not for girls like me. Not when life teaches you that miracles are just accidents, dressed in pretty lies. But then I met him. Not in a ballroom. Not at a gala. But on a cold, rainy road, where his life was hanging by a thread. I didn't know his name. I didn't know his world. All I saw was a man bleeding, broken, and alone. And now, here we are. He lifts my veil. No one says a word. He leans in and whispers. You saved my life, and I will spend the rest of mine proving I deserved it. 8 months earlier. It was raining the way it only rains when the universe is trying to wash something clean. I was on my bike, my scrubs still damp with sweat, my backpack soaked through. Another shift at the clinic. Another night no one says thank you. I just wanted to get home. My mom's cough was worse, and I had barely enough for her meds. Then I saw it. Sparks. Twisted metal. A black car crumpled against the roadside barrier. Glass shattered, smoke curling like a dying breath. People passed it like it was nothing. Like it wasn't a person inside. Maybe they didn't see it. Maybe they just didn't care. But I stopped. I dropped my bike and ran, my feet slipping in the mud. And when I yanked the door open, the smell of blood and burning wires hit me so hard I almost turned back. He was slumped over the wheel. Blood across his temple. His hand still twitching. I didn't know him. But something in me did. I ripped off my scarf, pressed it to his head, yelling into my phone for an ambulance. Hold on, stay with me, don't close your eyes. He tried to speak. Just one word. But it came out like a broken breath. His eyes found mine, for a second. Then he passed out. I held his hand until the sirens came. And when they asked if I was family, I just said no. No one would believe me anyway. So I walked away. I didn't even know his name. All I knew was, something inside me felt cracked open. Like I had just changed the course of something much bigger than me. But I wasn't wrong. I had changed something. I just didn't know that somewhere in that sterile, steel hospital room, the man I left behind had woken up. And the only thing he remembered was me. They said he had a concussion. A few fractured ribs. A busted knee. But all he cared about was finding the girl who saved him. His voice was hoarse, barely above a whisper, but he kept asking one question. Where is she? They didn't understand. The nurses thought he was confused. The doctors blamed trauma. His assistant chalked it up to medication. But he wasn't confused. He remembered eyes, brown, wide, soft like dusk. He remembered hands, trembling but strong, holding his life together like it meant something. He remembered a voice, not loud, but desperate. The kind that fights for someone it shouldn't have to. He told them to find her. He told them he didn't care what it cost. They ran facial recognition through every security cam in that district. They scanned hospital records, emergency calls, even traffic footage. Nothing. She had vanished, just as quickly as she had appeared. While he searched, I worked. 2 shifts at the clinic. 1 at the bakery. Nights in a room where the roof leaked when it rained and the walls coughed with mold. I didn't see the news coverage. I didn't know that the man I'd pulled from Twisted Metal was Leon Sinclair. CEO of Sinclair International. Billionaire. Business shark. The man who built empires with blood and silence. To me, he was just a stranger who almost died in the dark. He started to walk again. Slowly, painfully. But he did it, just to keep searching. He hated feeling helpless. But more than anything, he hated the thought of never seeing her again. Not because she saved his life. But because for those few minutes before the pain took him under, he felt something no boardroom or contract ever gave him. Peace. And he had to know. Who is she? He found me by accident. Or maybe it wasn't an accident at all. It was a Saturday morning. I had just finished wrapping gauze on a child's arm at the free clinic. The AC was broken. Sweat clung to my spine. My hair was frizzing. And I was just tired. That's when I felt it. That strange sensation, like being watched. I looked up. And he was standing there. Tall. Imposing. But somehow, not threatening. There was something heavy in his eyes. Something that made me feel exposed. He didn't say anything right away. He just stood there like he was looking at something he'd already lost once and didn't expect to find again. "Are you here for a checkup?" I asked, tucking my clipboard under my arm. He blinked, slow, like he was waking from a dream. Then he smiled, small, polite. "Yes," he said. Something like that. I didn't recognize him. Not without the blood. Not without the rain. He looked ordinary. But rich. The kind of man who didn't belong in this part of town. I led him inside. Took his blood pressure. Asked the routine questions. He answered them all, but watched me the entire time. He came back the next week. And the week after that. Always claiming some new symptom. Always quiet, but always watching. At first, I thought he was just another lonely rich man trying to flirt with the poor clinic nurse. But there was something different about him. He never hit on me. Never crossed the line. He just stayed. He bought drinks for the staff. Donated anonymously. Sat for hours in the waiting room when we were busy. He even bought a sandwich for a patient once. Ham and cheese. No tomatoes. I hadn't told anyone I hated tomatoes. One day, I finally asked. "Why do you keep coming here?" He paused. And said, "I like the way you talk to people who have nothing." I didn't know what to say. So I said nothing. But that night, I stayed awake replaying his voice in my head. Deep. Gentle. Unhurried. Like he wasn't used to chasing anything. Until now. He kept coming. And I let him. Even when the other nurses whispered. Even when my supervisor raised an eyebrow. Even when my own chest tightened in ways I couldn't explain. Because with him, the world softened. He never tried to impress me. Never flaunted wealth or titles. He just listened. And sometimes, that's all a woman really needs. Then came the gala. I wasn't invited, of course. I was just working the event, one of the invisible ones in a black apron, passing hors d'oeuvres on a silver tray. The ballroom glittered like a dream I'd never have. And there he was. Leon. Not in a hoodie. Not in clinic chairs or cracked sidewalks. But in a velvet suit, surrounded by men with cufflinks and women dripping diamonds. He was laughing with a woman who looked carved from silk. Tall. Ice blonde. Eyes like knives. I would later learn her name was Celeste Langford, his longtime business partner. And ex-fiancée. He didn't see me at first. But she did. Celeste's gaze locked onto mine like I was a bug on her windshield. She leaned into him, whispered something, and the next thing I knew, she was walking toward me. Heels clicking like gunshots on marble. "You're the charity case from the clinic, aren't you?" she said, just loud enough for nearby guests to hear. I froze. Tray in hand. Mouth dry. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. The girl who's been comforting Leon during his recovery. How sweet. You thought this meant something? Laughter. From somewhere behind her. A man muttered, "Classic." I turned. Ready to disappear. But I ran straight into him. Leon. For a moment, everything stopped. His eyes searched mine. And then, he looked at her. "Don't speak to her like that," he said, voice sharp as broken glass. Celeste blinked, caught off guard. Leon. He stepped forward. She's the one who saved me. The room fell silent. He turned to me. She's the reason I'm alive. Whispers. Phones lifted. Cameras clicked. People started filming. She's not a charity case, he said. She's the woman I owe everything to. I couldn't breathe. People were staring. Filming. Judging. It was too much. I dropped the tray and ran. Out the back. Through the alley. Into the dark. Because I didn't belong in that world. And I wasn't going to be his headline. Not like that. I didn't go home. Not right away. I sat at the bus stop until morning. Still in my black apron. Still shaking. I kept thinking. He knew who I was. All this time. And never told me. He let me open up. Let me feel safe. Let me fall. And now the world thought I was just another girl chasing money. I called in sick. Twice. Ignored every unknown number. Even missed rent to avoid seeing anyone. Then one night. There was a knock. I opened the door. And he was there. No cameras. No guards. No suit. Just Leon. Rain-soaked. Out of breath. Eyes so raw they didn't belong to a billionaire. They belonged to a man, begging. He didn't speak at first. He just looked at me, jaw clenched, chest heaving like he'd run a marathon. And then, "You didn't save a CEO," he said. "You saved a man who'd forgotten how to feel." I stood there, silent. He stepped forward. "You think I didn't tell you who I was because I was playing you?" He shook his head. "I didn't tell you because I didn't want to be him with you. I just wanted to be the man you looked at without fear. The man you fed tea to when I coughed. The man you laughed with in the hallway." He dropped to one knee. Right there. In my hallway with cracked tiles and flickering lights. I don't care where we live. I don't care what they say. I just know this. You walked into fire to save a stranger. Let me spend the rest of my life walking through fire to deserve you. He pulled out a ring. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't staged. It was real. And in that moment, so was everything else. The wedding. White dress. Soft music. Golden light. His hand lifts my veil again. But this time I smile first. He leans in. Whispers. "You saved my life, and I will spend the rest of mine proving I deserved it." True love doesn't ask where you're from. It just asks if you'll stay. Subscribe for more stories that make you believe in love again.